Good morning. On behalf of the
Morning.
RDIC, my name is Jeff Cameron, and it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Riley Hay today. Riley is going to be talking to us about his life in rodeo and his travels and some of the things that some of you kids out there might be looking at if you are interested in going into the rodeo life. Before we begin with Riley with his presentation, I'd just like to remind all of the students that we have a very nice, easy to use, updated website that you can go on and find all kinds of career opportunities if you're wondering what to do out there. And also there's a gift card that we're trying to give away each month. Is for $50, and simply by taking 20 seconds or so by filling out your opinion on the recording that you watched, you'll be entered to win. So please take some time to fill that out and let us know how you think things are going. All right, Riley, I'll let you take it away. And thanks again so much for joining us this morning.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me. And I guess I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Riley Hay. I'm from Poplar Point, Manitoba. I grew up in a rodeo family, and I'm a third generation rodeo cowboy, starting with my grandparents on both sides of my family. They both rodeoed, and kind of handed that down to my parents, who competed. My mom in the barrel racing, and my dad worked 4 different events in rodeo. And it was something that, I never even thought about. We just started doing it at a young age, riding and roping and working on the ranch here. So it was pretty easy for me to step into it. I started competing at about the age of 15, and that was in the team roping in a local rodeos, not going too far. And through the time, I guess I've progressed and have competed in a few different associations and a couple different events. One being team roping, of course, and one being saddle bronc riding. I rode broncs for 3 or 4 years, and it was a good time, something I enjoyed, but I didn't get to practice quite as much as I'd like. Whereas the team roping, it's something that I can practice out of my here at home, and I have other guys in the area that like to work on it with me too, so it makes things easier. One thing about rodeo is you got to put on some miles. It's not like you have a really local tour where you have some rodeos to go to just within half an hour of you. A lot of times it means traveling maybe 6, 8, 10 hours to get to some of these rodeos in Western Saskatchewan and into Alberta. Coming where I'm coming from, this means putting on a lot of miles and lots of late nights. Back to work for Monday morning, you might do 3 in the morning before you get home, and makes for a long day on Monday. But I really enjoy competing and doing it, and it makes it a little bit, if you have a good weekend, it makes it a little bit easier to get up early Monday morning and get to it. One thing that's helped for me is having family and friends from my area to travel with. the person that I've roped and competed with the most is my older brother, Skylar. And we were leaving from the same yard, and that makes things a lot easier versus traveling on your own and things like that. And so my whole family, my dad too, I've also roped with my dad and competed with and against other family members, and it definitely makes for a lot more fun on the road too, I think. Another aspect of it is choosing your rodeos and working around your schedule. Some associations, or I think for everybody, it's not feasible to get to every rodeo. So you got to pick rodeos that work for your schedule and work into your capabilities. There's different setups, arena sizes and lots of different scenarios. So you can choose where you're going and what's going to give you the best chance at winning, and or even just being able to get there. Because most of in the associations that I'm competing in, we all have jobs, whether they're full-time or part-time. We can't get to be everywhere all the time. So you gotta kind of pick and choose. And one thing that I've found, it's, even though it's not on the pro level that I'm competing at, most places you still get the opportunity to go a lot of new places and see new country that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. I've been traveling all across Western Canada to do it, whether it's team roping jackpots or rodeos, and you get to spend time different places with a lot of the people that you enjoy being around, and it's usually nothing but fun on the road. So I enjoy that part of it. And even a couple of years back, I qualified with my dad to go to the World Series team roping in Las Vegas in December. And so you never know where it might take you, and it's definitely an adventure. Just like any other competitive sport, it takes preparation. And, if I don't like going anywhere and feeling like I'm not ready or that I can't compete, you go to all these places with the expectation to win. And that's something that's been instilled in me. And I sure do my best to put in the hours and take the time needed to try and, compete and win. Part of that would be the practice pen at home. We spend a lot of time in the evenings after work, weekends if we're free, roping. I have my own practice cattle, and I train horses aside from my job and sell them and train horses for other people. So that gives me an opportunity to rope a lot on a lot of different horses, and it definitely can pay off when you go to compete at team roping jackpots and rodeos. If you're putting in the hours, and everybody else is, so you have to as well. And another thing is preparing and seasoning different horses. It's half the equation is you and half the equation is your horse in a lot of rodeo events. So if you can be as ready as you want, but if your horse isn't fit, he isn't in shape, he's you haven't been keeping them sharp and practicing at home or at the neighbors or wherever, you're selling yourself short. So I think a lot of us try to really keep our horses tuned and keep them in shape, because they're athletes too, and we demand a lot from them. And even just getting new horses out to see these different sites, it's hard for them when they're new and there's flags flying and there's a big crowd there and lots of stuff going on. They can get a little excited, and it takes some time, and you have to give them miles on the road too to season them and until they're just solid, and they exactly what they're going to do all the time. And another part of the preparation is planning for these weekends. We might take off on a Thursday night after work and not get home till late Sunday night. So you need to have feed and for your horses and make sure you have everything you need to look after them properly on the road. And also, make travel arrangements, making sure that you have enough time to get from one place to the next, and things like that, making sure your schedule is going to work and your rig and your truck are up to date, because you don't want to be sitting on the side of the road with a trailer full of horses either. So there's, just like anything else, there's lots of preparation needed. One thing that I really enjoy about rodeo, and it's, I think, different than any other sport, is the camaraderie. Many sports like hockey or basketball, any sports you're going to play, your opponent you're not doing anything to help them out. Whereas rodeo, you're in lots of cases, you're traveling with the same guys you're competing against that night, and you're all friends, and you want to see the next guy do good too. And even if you don't have a good day, and your traveling partner or your a fellow competitor wins the rodeo, you can't help but be happy for them, and you're all there helping each other out, because in the long run, you don't have a whole crew there. We kind of rely on each other for help, and it's great that way. And especially also in the saddle bronc riding or in the rough stock events, so it's like a band of guys, and they're all rooting for each other, and you're hoping your friends do good and you just do a little bit better. So it's a really neat sport that way, and one of my favorite parts about it. I guess if anybody has Jeff has any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I hope somebody can take something from what I shared.
Well, Riley, thanks so much. There's an excellent presentation, firstly. And I know here in the Southeast, as I go to different schools and that, I see a lot of boots being worn by the kids. So, and I think you've met some people down in Cardiff and Estevan and different areas when you come here for the rodeo. So it's a big cattle country and big rodeo country, and I know a lot of kids are into this. And no, I just wondered when you first got in, it's kind of like a family thing. A lot of people get and follow. It kind of gets into your blood and so forth. Can you describe a little bit about Vegas to us when you went down there to the kids? Kind of what kind of different show that was?
Yeah, it was, so it's the World Series Team Roping Championships. So, we were lucky enough to start getting some of these World Series ropings up here in Canada now. And we're able to go and compete and try get qualified to go down to Vegas. And by qualifying, you need to make a certain amount of money in each category or in the specific category that you're competing in order to qualify. And my dad and I kind of struck out at the start of our early summer. He approached me and he said, I think we should just give it a shot and go to some of these ropings and see and try to get down to Vegas. And we ended up having a really good summer going to a few of those ropings and got entered up down there. And yeah, it was a neat experience. It's something that you're getting a chance to compete for big money, which is new. You know, every year it gets better. It's a couple of years back, but you're competing for $160,000, $180,000 US and to win it. So it gives a guy a lot of incentive to work at things and give yourself an opportunity to go down there. And doing it with my dad was kind of a special too. I think it's, you know, I think a lot of guys probably don't get that opportunity. My dad still ropes really good. So it was a neat experience.
Riley, what's the cost for a good horse now, or what do you look for in a good horse?
Well, I think like a performance horse, they need to have athletic ability, and just like anything else, there's some horses that are just a cut above the rest in terms of athletic ability and even in their mind. You know, it's the price varies. If you're going from amateur rodeos to the, you know, versus what the top guys in the world are riding, there's a big difference there. But the horse market is right now is strong. They're worth some money. I'd say you're not going to pay much less than 10,000 for something. And that's kind of the lower end of the spectrum to go compete on. And you might pay, there's people paying 100,000 or more for the best in the world. And I'm lucky with my job, and I've spent a lot of time trying to kind of fine tune my training abilities with horses and starting colts. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to make a lot of my own horses, pretty well all of them, I guess. So that's something that I do. And if they're not a great fit for me, I'll sell them to somebody else who they're going to work for, and keep the ones that that fit me well.
So, Riley, Kevin, your question. We have some students that have done quite well in our area, in Rostown area, with rodeo, but there isn't a lot of rodeo here. So, you know, some kids that are interested, I know they don't have a rodeo family necessarily that they're growing up around. Where could a student go if they really have an interest, just to see if they, you know, would like to explore this a bit more and get to work at some, you know, in rodeo somehow?
Right. A great place that you see a lot of kids starting out is high school rodeo. Each province has their own association. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and it's set up to be beginner friendly. gives kids to compete against other kids of, of similar skill level. So they're not going to these rodeos and getting discouraged either. And you get to learn a lot. There's usually a lot of knowledgeable people either that have kids at these rodeos or that are volunteering to help out, that they're willing to lend a hand to beginners who are starting out and try and make it a good experience, I think, for kids, because we want to, I think rodeo it's tapered off from what it used to be years ago. And we love seeing new young kids getting into it. And another thing is finding people within your area. In my experience, cowboys and rodeo folks in general they're helping people they're willing to lend a hand to most anybody if they show interest and they want to do it. I think there's lots of people that would help you out. I know, just if you got somebody half an hour, 20 minutes down the road, if you gave them a shout and asked, if they're open in the evenings or something, or running barrels, what have you, I think a lot of guys in this industry would be willing to help a young person out.
Oh, good, thank you.
Can you talk about the prize structure for this, or asking a question? Can you talk about the prize structure for the rodeos? Like, I'm just wondering, when you travel all that way, you've got the expenses and all that stuff. If you don't get first place, you don't get anything, or how does the prize structure work for kids who are thinking about it?
Yeah, so at the high school rodeo level, there's no money to be won per se, but there's saddles and there's prizes and opportunities if you're highly competitive, for rodeo scholarships and things like that, where a lot of those scholarships would be taking place in the States, where they have rodeo teams and they'll give out some pretty desirable scholarships to skilled kids. But at the rodeos that I'm going to, they're a lot of them are like, it's all like cash payout, or and that money goes towards the standings, towards making the finals. So depending on the size of the rodeo, the number of the contestants, and the amount of money added, they're going to pay 6 holes or the top 6 placings, or maybe 8 placings. Or if it's a real small rodeo, it might only pay top 4. So for us, it's not like, any other sport where they are paid a salary to do what they do. If we're not winning, we're not making anything, but you're burning a lot of diesel fuel and there's expense to it. So, at the amateur level or semi-pro level, it's not quite as significant as what the pro guys, the best in the world, they're going to 100+ rodeos a year, and it takes big dollars and backing to get down the road. But no, it's all prize payouts, and if you're doing good at the big rodeos or the good rodeos, you can make some money. And if you're slumping, then you're going to be losing a little bit of money.
Well, Riley, I'm not sure if anyone has any more questions.